And we're live. Just topping off my drink, having a, what do they call it? I think it's custard apple. Americans have a weird name for it. Sort of fruit juice. Anyway, topping up with some lemonade. So we're responding to Pajama Day. Michael is saying you're working the node, or Pudelruch. Pudelruch, as Germans say. I bet my pronunciation's absolutely terrible. Yes, I think you could, given you've been working on it from 17 years, I think you have absolutely free reign to be wearing your PJs at all times. And hello also to Music Vader, Megalich, nobody, hello, good evening one and all. Soursop, that's what the Americans call it. I momentarily forgot. Ooh, Peter has a nice Chardonnay, very nice. I have to decide if I'm going to shoot another video for my new cocktail channel tonight or tomorrow night, because I put a new video on the channel up tonight. It's the one I shot the other day on the live stream, where I did a taste test comparison of sidecar cocktails. So I'm not going to put another video on the channel till Saturday night. I'll give it 2 days, because I left a gap of a couple of days between the other videos, and I've decided it's going to be another comparison. Probably at some point I'll stop doing comparison. Maybe not. Maybe that's going to be my thing. Maybe all my videos will be comparisons. Make the same or similar cocktails with slightly different things. My video is not working. That might be a Facebook thing. Is anyone watching on YouTube having problems with el video? This is a problem when the video goes screwy. There's 1,000 things that could be causing it. Could be at my end, could be at your end, could be something intermediary, could be the StreamYard platforms having a problem, could be Facebook's having a problem, could be YouTube's having a problem. All these strange and bizarre things, and it is very difficult to be sure what you can do to actually improve such things. So, okay, maybe there is a problem. No one on the YouTube side has replied. Maybe they can't see me or something. That could be it. That could be it. No. Finally, probably a bit of lag there. Adele and Musical Aviator both saying it's fine on YouTube. So that could be a Facebook problem, or it could be a problem at your end, Peter. Or it could be any goddamn number of other things. It just puts me up a thought, because I've let my podcast slide. I was going to do all sorts of things for it, but these live streams taking up a lot of my free time, and I haven't been doing anything with my podcast. Hi, Philip. Yes, the problem is the NBN. You can see me on Facebook. Yes, we are cursed with really shitty internet in Australia. It's a true thing. But yes, I keep meaning to get back and do a podcast. Yeah, well, see, you don't realize I do a podcast, Philip. I hardly upload any episodes this year. I was being quite consistent towards the end of last year, and I took a break over Christmas, and I've hardly uploaded this year. You can find it by searching on the podcast platform of your choice, and just search for Angry Aussie. By your choice, things like Apple Podcasts. And I think it's also on Spotify, I'm not sure. Yes, I have not uploaded in 2 months. That is really slack. And in fact, I put up 3 podcasts in February and 1 in January. So I've only put up 4 podcasts all year. I've really got to get back into it. But I had been lining up a few friends who are very interesting people in very different ways to be guests on the podcast. And Peter is one because she's been working from home for a long time. And as so many of us are having to adjust, we were going to have a talk on what she's learned from considerable experience with working from home. Peter's got corona hair. I know. Yes, we're not getting our hair styled. I got a haircut just before I stopped working in the city. And I've forgotten how long ago that is. Was that 3 weeks ago? Was that 4 weeks ago? I had my hair cut and my beard trimmed 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I coloured my beard at home. Beard grows out faster. You can see the grey coming through on the beard more quickly. It's nowhere near as noticeable in my hair. It has to grow for a couple of months to be particularly noticeable in my hair. And then it's usually, if I get a haircut, then you really notice it because it's uncovered. It'd be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months. My current contract runs until the end of June. And no idea what's going to happen after that, although because it's the state government and their budgets are all shot to hell, the overwhelming likelihood is the contract won't be extended because they won't have the authority to extend it. Then I go back in the job market, which is of course going to be completely screwed up by all the coronavirus shenanigans. Now, it's interesting. Scummo said today, Australia's got at least 4 weeks more of the current strict isolation rules. So that's interesting. I think one of the big things will be no one, especially because of Easter and how badly or how well did people behave over Easter here and overseas. See, even if we continue to do well, which we hopefully will, because we're doing very well, better than, almost anywhere. And if we didn't screw that up over Easter, that the Easter pattern won't start showing up for another 2 weeks. So by the end of April, if by the end of April we've maintained our good patterns, then by the end of May, they might actually start loosening things up. And hello, Catherine and Gecko. Thank you for joining it. Oh, nice. Megaleech doing virtual games night with a tabletop simulator. Excellent. My ear is improved. In fact, it's even just since this afternoon. I've got medication, which I've been taking since yesterday afternoon. Doctor said that probably fix things in about 2 days, which means tomorrow. But I feel much better than I did this morning, but noticeably better than I did just this afternoon. So you've got me. Catherine, are they advertising jobs for work from home? I don't know. I don't know what the actual... I've had agencies contact me. I work in IT, and I've been working from home for a couple of weeks. Almost everyone in IT who still has a job is working from, certainly the sort of work I do, not network engineers. They have to be there physically where the network hardware is. And depends how sophisticated people's help desk things are. I've had a couple agencies contact me about jobs, and I say, well, I'm still working. Absolutely fascinated at how the interview and onboarding process would go for a new job. Interviewing, okay, relatively straightforward. You just interview over Skype or whatever. But onboarding in a new job, like I'd have to be on Skype all day to people. It would be very slow. It'd be possible, be very slow. My specific job title is business analyst. What that means when there is new developments in system, software, websites, whatever, or upgrades to existing one, I work with the people who have to use the system to document what we actually need the system to do. It's called writing the requirements, and there's all sorts of peripheral things around that. I do a lot of things called process mapping and process re-engineering. Sounds very cool. It's just basically, let's just try and be rational and describe a logical way this should work. Because people often fall down. They just go, make it do a thing. And that could mean 20 different things. So it's somewhat of a skill, even if I do say so myself, to document this sort of thing in a logical and sensible way that people can understand consistently, no matter who they are. So that's what I do, but it involves a lot of talking to people. So if I had to start a new job, I'd have to spend days just talking to people on Skype. Gecko, you did a contract job recently, moved 400 desktop PCs with 2 monitors across the building. That was a month before COVID showed up in America. Yeah, Philip, I do what you teach. There you go. My big explanation, when people go, how does that work? In IT, go, okay, basically, for IT to work in organizations, you've got two people. You've got the people who use it and the people who develop it, set it up, and maintain it. You got the business and you got the technology people. The problem with the business side is they're often not that good in articulating clearly and logically what it is they want. They kind of want everything. They just want it to work. And they're not always good at articulating clearly what it is they need to happen. And the problem on the technology side is often they're not good at talking to humans. So the humans who aren't very logical and clear have trouble with the tech crowd who just don't have the communication skills quite often. Those are both stereotypes, but they're often true. So I'm the translator. I'm the bridge in the middle. I work with the business to pull everything out of their brain and structure it in a logical and sensible way, and then present that to the technology side in a way that's logical and clear enough that they know what needs to happen. So that's what I do. It's still manageable in this strange world, but starting a new one would be very weird. Safa, oh yeah, the analysis on how to fix the NBN would be quite straightforward. You just have to beat the government with a big stick until they stop playing their stupid fucking games and put a proper technology in. Safa, I am in fact the middleman. Do I need qualifications? You can get accreditation and actually study to be a business analyst now. Yes, Strictly Sega, I'm the dude on Office Space who says I have people skills, damn it. You can get accreditation now and being a business analyst. Such things did not exist when I started. Like, I've been doing this for about 20 years, and no one does it for that long. They go off and do other stuff. I just kind of like doing this, so I'm still doing it. I learned on the job, and it was how to do business analyst was still evolving when I started. So I learned on the job and developed as the industry developed, really. So I don't have any formal accreditation, just 20 years experience. So Zadel, you found out healthcare sector works South Australia. You get free metro. Nice. That's good. So for the profession is interesting. I mean, we were having this discussion at work today as we were trying to be a bit social in a team meeting, and what did you want to be before? And I go, well, the last job that I seriously wanted to be, like when I went to uni, I wanted to be a journalist. And I did end up doing a degree. I have a BA in communications. I actually had a choice to do the journalism strand or another strand that was called theatre media. And for a number of reasons, I actually went away from journalism and did theatre media. And while it was not as good for getting a job, I don't regret doing it. I did a lot of performance. I did a lot of writing, and that actually weirdly works for my job because I need to be able to communicate. I learned how to communicate to audiences. I learned how to write things that were engaging. And now in the business world, I need to communicate with an audience, and I need to write things that communicate well and are engaging. So, you know, I weirdly ended up in IT. Ashoka, how many headaches did Windows 8 create? I've not really done a lot of, because there, in the world of IT, there are a billion things you could do. And I've not really done any Windows rollouts, thankfully, because that would be a nightmare. Last 2 years, I've become cybersecurity expert, so I'll probably get another job without too much trouble if and when this one ends. Contracts tend to go 6 months or 12 months. This one's 6 months. And we'll see what happens after 6 months. I've had a 6-month one last for 2 years before. So, and I've had a 6-month one finish in 2 weeks, because as a contractor, if the budget suddenly gets cut, contractors are the first to go. And that's actually happened to me once. It was for a uni years ago. I just started, and then they cut the budget, and because I was the last one on, I was the first one off. That's the phrase we use, Philip, a use case, also sometimes called a user scenario. It's basically trying to say, how does someone want to use the system? And there are a few ways, some very simple ways and some quite complex and arcane ways to capture that. There's a really simple one. You just call it as a I want so that, and you try and break down each little task that you need the system to do as like, and like you could break down an ATM into, as an account holder, I want to access my accounts so that I can get some money, as an account holder, I want to identify myself so I get access to my accounts. And so you can then break that down into the different requirements required to deliver on that. It's like, oh, okay, they have to be able to identify themselves. And then you look at how many different ways do we allow someone to identify themselves. The obvious one now is, the card and the PIN. But these days you have cardless stuff. It's usually like with your smartphone. Not that we really use biometrics, but you could use biometrics to identify someone as well. Why am I talking about my job? This is so weird. So how much would 1 gigabyte cost to come to my unit 2020 Australia? That's not a question that can be answered, I don't think. There's too many variables. Good evening, Lee. How are you? Philip, are there a lot of people like me enroll? Depends how much is going on in a workplace. Every project should have everything that's being delivered should have at least one business analyst working on it. Currently I'm working on cybersecurity, and there's a series of smaller things in that I'm working on delivering, because there's obviously lots of different elements to cybersecurity. Conversely, I've worked on some huge sprawling mega projects where just to deliver on the one thing, there was a significant number of business analysts working on the one project. We had to cut it into slices and go, you're going to look after that bit, you're going to look after that bit, you're going to. So it depends on the nature of the work. Oh, Lee, you said goodbye to your dog, Jasper. That's sad. But that's the thing with pets, unfortunately. They don't stay with us forever, unless it's a Galapagos turtle or something, tortoise, and then they have to say goodbye to us. Ashoka, Netflix works on 2 megabits per second. Netflix is actually pretty good. Safa, I'm more from the business side, but it's funny because there's kind of 2 sorts of business analysts: a business focused one and a technical one. And definitely in the last 10 years, I've taken on some of the more technical and implementation stuff. Because again, on really big projects, there's a business-focused business analyst who's working with the business, just saying, without even worrying about the system, what things do we need to accomplish for you? And they look at requirements that way. And then I've worked on the technical implementation ends and just gone, okay, to deliver on this set of business requirements, here's the specific functional things this system is going to have to do. And I think that's just because I've been doing it for a long time. I get put on more technical things. Are you going with Beatles philosophy, Lee? That's fine. Obladi, oblada. Life goes on, bruh. Are they almost cheaper first? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Safa. Some people like come from literally like a programming or like a network infrastructure side and become really technical business analysts that way. Some people like me come from the business side and are more business focused, but I've just done it for a long time and I've ended up doing some more technical stuff. So if someone says, are you a business or a technical BA? I go, well, it depends who's asking and it depends who you're comparing me to. Because from a certain perspective, I've done both. Safa, often the easiest way to get into working as a business analyst is to move sideways, like you're working somewhere and yeah, you just find out how the business analysis is run within the business, talk to whoever's in charge, say, you know, how often do you add new people? What are you looking for in new people? What could I take on or what could I learn that would make it more likely that I could get one of those roles in the future? You certainly, at entry level, you get paid a lot less. Now, if you went out and got accreditation, particularly if you did some of the more technical stuff in the training for accreditation, you would probably earn more straight away than someone who did what I did. If you sort of move across sideways and you're more or less learning on the job, you're probably not going to get paid as much initially as someone who has technical training. So, Safa, if you're good on tech, but if you're on the business side, yeah, I'd look, are there courses you can get that bridge that gap? Like you're going, okay, I know this and I want to work on the business analysis side. What training or whatnot could I get to make me better on the business side? Safa, I don't think you necessarily want to do a uni course to be a BA. There's lots of accreditations. There's the BA body of knowledge. So BA BOK is like an accreditation thing, and that's the IIBA, the International Institute of Business Analysis. Yeah, International Institute. There is a benchmark sort of thing, and you can take tests and get accreditation, and that's more like private institutes rather than a uni. Safa, it is harder when you live in the bush. You probably could do online courses. I'm not sure. So yes, I grew up in the bush. Everything's more difficult in the bush. But there's also the thing, if you're in the bush and you want to stay in the bush, if you do get accreditation, you're more likely to get better jobs because no one else has the accreditation. My brother did a lot of network engineering accreditation years back. And for years, he was like the go-to guy in the central west of New South Wales. He had all this Microsoft accreditation and whatnot. So he just swam all over the place, getting work everywhere. So there is definitely some value in getting the accreditation because it will put you ahead of people who don't have the accreditation. Doesn't necessarily make you a better business analyst or network engineer or project manager or system architect or programmer or any of these things, but on paper, it puts you ahead of someone who doesn't have that accreditation. So, yeah, it's a good thing to do for that reason. Yeah, I would probably think the first thing to do would be look at online courses. Was there a show here? Online homeschool education is going to transform. Well, it's going to be very interesting what we end up getting out of it. There you go, Safi. Your mum's a project manager. Yes. Well, she actually might have some contacts with regards to training and accreditation. So, yeah, if you want to move into a new field or even move sideways, there's some definite advantages to getting accreditation. Yeah, and the other alternatives is if you happen to be working somewhere where there are just opportunities to take on different jobs in the place you're working, worth looking at. So I'm not sure who you're asking how online uni is going. So far as I hear from my offspring, they're doing fine. Peter, you have to go. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's always nice to see you. Nice to have a little online chat. Yeah, online school has just started in Victoria. And Mrs. Angry's lad is in year 12. I like what he's doing today, like for school. He actually dressed up in his school uniform. So he's like, yep, I'm at school. And then when he finished school, he took the school uniform off to do that separation, which is quite good, really. Philip, you are right that networking is important, particularly if you're going to do contract work. Got to be good with people. Got to stay on people's good side, because if you're a shithead, it'll catch up to you. You actually prefer online uni, Adele? Yeah, in certain contexts, like if the person delivering the online content is good at it, I can see where online would be good. I did see that stuff. Eskimo doesn't like that school isn't back to normal. That's virtually the only area where he's at loggerheads with state premiers. Most, if not all, the state premiers think going back to school is a bad idea. And Skimo's going, no, great, good idea, excellent, everyone should go back to school. And so there's a bit of conflict between them on that front. I was just thinking, for those wondering, when I was talking before about doing another cocktail video, like being here live with you and doing it, and setting up my camera like I've done a couple times, and editing it later, I'm going to do it with my expensive whiskies and compare it to a cheap whiskey. And the first one I'm going to do is a Manhattan, nice old classic. Going to make it with just like Jim Beam bourbon, and then I'm going to make it with two expensive, I think they're all bourbons actually. and compare and see if it's significantly different. I think they will taste different. Be a question of if I think they taste better, really. So I'm going to do a thing, but that involves making and drinking 3 cocktails. And as we progress here, I don't think I want to do that. I'm feeling good. The inner ear thing's putting a slight pressure on my head, so it's like a pre-headache feeling. I might have a cocktail in the second half. I don't think I want to have 3 cocktails. But tomorrow's Friday, and tomorrow my medication should have really kicked in, and I should have I should be feeling better, and B, I don't have to go to work the next day. So yeah, I'll definitely do 3 cocktails tomorrow night. So I think I'll do that. I'll shoot a video while we're live tomorrow night. Aussies are drinking 70% more. Over Easter, I might have. I was surprised. Thursday, I think I did a live stream. I think I did. Not sure. Can't even remember. But I only had 1 or 2 drinks. I just realised what I was doing then. I almost made a terrible mistake. But that's okay. I didn't. I'm still here. And look, did I do a live stream last Thursday? Good. What would the date have been last Thursday? It would have been the 9th. 4, 5, 1 week ago. Happy birthday, Buddha. 1 week ago. What date is that, though? Is that the 9th? That was the 8th. I don't think I did do one on the 9th. Okay, so I don't think I did do a live stream on Thursday. Sometimes forget which days I do and don't do it. So I didn't do a live stream, and I think I only had 1 drink, even though I didn't have to go to work the next day. It's just the way it worked out, just but I went pretty hard on Friday. That's fair to say. Went pretty hard on Friday, and went for it a bit on Saturday too. But I think I only had 2 drinks on Sunday, even though I didn't have to go to work on Monday. And what are we up to now? Thursday. Might make a cocktail for the second half, as I said. Yes, Adele, time doesn't mean anything anymore. Everything blurs. It's just we're in a very strange world, and we don't know what's coming or how long things are going to be a particular way. It's very weird. Ashoka, Khan Academy is up 300%. I don't know what that means. That makes me think of Star Trek. So, sorry, just saw, Adele, why you were saying you're preferring the online uni, doing your law and criminology. You're not getting annoyed by teenagers planning their party weekends, actually enjoying spending class time on actual topics. Nice. Oh yes, I did see Turnbull's memoirs coming out. God, he's a self-serving fucking wanker. He is. He's weak as piss. If there was an Australian dictionary with illustrations and you looked up weak as piss, there would be a fucking picture of Malcolm Turnbull. He sucks so hard. He's just the worst. He's just worse because he's pathetic. Scummo is just, actively fucked. Fucking Turnbull just sucks. He was nobbled the entire time he was Prime Minister, scared of the extreme right wing of the party, and he's always trying to appease them, but they would never be appeased, and they shat on him in the end. He should have fucking stood up to them. He would have had a better reputation. at the end. But yeah, no, he just sucks. So Turnbull and Rudd are fighting on Twitter. Rudd's a fucking clown too. Rudd ruined his legacy. Yeah, no, Rudd could have been a great prime minister, but he's just an egotistical narcissist with a really bad temper problem, and he very quickly became impossible to work with. That's why his fucking party turned on him, not as in the cases of Abbott and Turnbull, where their opponents had the excuse of they're doing really badly in the opinion polls. Rudd's party turned on him because he was fucking impossible to work with. And he's just gotten worse in the intervening years. Like, he's a piece of shit. He had the potential to be a really good prime minister, and he fucked everything, and he absolutely ruined his legacy. His legacy will be what a destructive piece of shit he is. So, yeah, he's a piece of shit. So while it's mildly amusing that he's slap fighting with Turnbull on Twitter, they're both fucking pathetic. Yeah, got nothing, no time for them. So would Turnbull have lost in 2019? It's pointless to speculate because Scummo should have got slaughtered in 2019. Should have got absolutely slaughtered. But absolutely bizarre, weird, unpredictable shit happened. Not helped by the endless Murdoch media propaganda, but it was also just weird and unpredictable. Yeah, off the top of my head, Turnbull would have lost, but yeah, off the top of my head, Scummo should have got slaughtered, but he didn't. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? We get a Labor PM in my lifetime. In the current environment, I don't like speculating on lifetimes, quite honestly. We're so far off an election, and the world is so fucking weird. Trying to predict anything in the future is a mug's game. And anyone who tells you that they can confidently predict any political outcome in the future is full of shit, and you probably shouldn't pay attention to them. It's too many hard truths have come out in the last certainly 4 years. It's like you've looked at stuff and said, this makes no sense, this can't possibly happen, this other thing will obviously happen. That the idea of the obvious thing not happening is ridiculous, and the obvious thing keeps not happening, and the ridiculous thing keeps happening. So it's like, fucking common sense is of no use. Logic is of no use. It's just weird. Oh my God, Loogie, quarantine's driving you crazy. We're all trying. That's it's the reason for doing so many live streams, to give everyone a bit of an outlet, because the challenges are real. As I've said before, I feel very spoiled. It's not to say it's not weird. Not to say that not going out isn't getting to me. I mean, even limiting myself to going to the supermarket once or maybe twice a week. I would just randomly go to the supermarket. Oh, what do they got? Is there something on special? I'll get an inspiration for dinner. The house is fucking full of food, right? We are so stocked. Being very, not like ridiculous stockpiles, but just, it's a good thing. Like, we could literally be, trapped in here for 4 weeks without running out of food. Eunice, buy Legos. I actually gave away a big box of Legos that no one in this house wanted to play with to Philip, who was in the chat. He has young'uns, and I think it's his daughter in particular is enjoying the Legos, which is nice because they were going to waste here. Could you run it? It's probably meant to be R units, is it? Oh no, Loogie, 24-hour pizza places are closed. Got to keep a freezer pizza for emergencies. I've got that. I've got freezer food for emergencies. Got instant noodles for emergencies. Got slightly more wholesome stuff I can cook. Run its. Okay, run its. There we go. Thank you. Oh no! Are you still having toilet paper problems in Adelaide, Adele? That's the one thing that's got sorted here. Like for close to 2 weeks, certainly more than 1 week, the supermarkets here have been able to maintain their stock of toilet paper. The only thing that's still usually hard to get is flour and yeast, because everyone's decided they're a baker now. And as a corollary, eggs can be hard to get. I think everyone's making cakes. And yes, there's still a bit of a strain on pasta and sugar and a few other things. But the only thing that I've seen that's still under strain is flour and yeast. Yeah, meat was under a lot of pressure for a while. Beef mince disappeared for like a week or two. Pasta, almost all pasta was rare as hen's teeth for a week or so. Then it started coming back, and spaghetti was still hard to get, because apparently spaghetti bolognese was everyone's go-to. But the last time I looked in a supermarket, last 2 times, they had pasta including spaghetti, but flour is still thing. But yeah, no loo rolls or tissues. The weirdly here, I don't know if it's weirdly, but what I noticed here was paper towel returned before toilet paper. But yeah, for at least a week, maybe up to 2 weeks, toilet paper's been consistently available here. And the supermarkets, at least, I went to Costco a week or so ago, and they didn't have any toilet paper. I'm just going to Costco, but there's nothing I really need from Costco. I don't have any freezer space. Freezer's full of stuff I've bought and frozen. And I've got enough booze. I don't need any Costco booze. Stella, good evening to you. Megalich, virtual game night is over. I hope it's good. I used to hand sanitizer. Okay, I haven't tried to buy hand sanitizer. Sorry, you don't want to talk about pasta. You had cheap pasta and the shit fell apart. Damn. I had a nice one. Young Ms. Angry marinated and cooked these pork belly strips that I got from Costco. So they're kind of like thicker bacon, except they're not smoked. Like bacon's smoked as a general rule. So it's just strips of pork belly cut kind of like thick bacon, and she marinated it and cooked it, and I had it with noodles, and it was good. I did see that story about the guy who'd had some cunning plan to stockpile toilet paper, and the hand sanitizer had like $10,000 worth, and it's all back now, so it's of no value to him, and he tried to return it, and the supermarket owner told him to fuck off, which was nice. Hand sanitizer, interestingly, I went to the chemist yesterday to get the prescription for my funny inner ear thing. And I got my prescription. There weren't very many people in the chemist. It was like, one of the chemist warehouse places. And at the register, the guy tried to suggestive sell hand sanitizer. They had little things of hand sanitizer. I didn't need any. It kind of seemed like a drug dealer. The way, you got hand sanitizer? You want hand sanitizer? I was like, no, I don't need hand sanitizer. I don't know how widely hand sanitizer is available, and if the stuff that's available is like the 60% alcohol or whatnot. I've been using it because washing with, I've been home most of the time. Washing with soap and water is a better thing at home anyway. Although this shopping trip, I went to, where did I go? I went to the chemist, and then I went to the supermarket to get a couple of things. I feel like I did a third thing because it was just, oh yeah, the doctor. I went to the doctor to pick up the prescription that I need to get, and they had hand sanitizer there, so I put hand sanitizer on, picked up my prescription. Then I went to the chemist, and they like forced me to use hand sanitizer before I went in there. I felt like saying I just use some, what the hell, more hand sanitizer, and went in. And then I went to the supermarket, and they had hand sanitizer there. So like 3 lots of hand sanitizer in about half an hour. So yeah. No hand sanitizer in Vegas, Renats. Costco does have social distancing, Safa. Last time I went there, they had people lining up outside because they were only limiting the number of people who were in there. And in the line, we were all social distancing in the line. And then they let the line in, and yeah, they were really limiting the number of people in there. It was quite sparsely populated. The only thing I couldn't get in Costco was toilet paper. They had restocked all their meats and everything. And so, Annette, hello, good evening. Adele, you're planning to get some from Never Never Distillery. Yes, lots of the distilleries in Australia making hand sanitizer because they have all the alcohol. Very clever of them and useful of them. Yes, Stella, we use too much hand sanitizer, we get dermatitis. Need moisturizer as well. Yeah, but I felt a bit weird doing 3 different lots of hand sanitizer in about half an hour because everyone wanted me to. No, come in here, use hand sanitizer. Okay, come in here, use hand sanitizer. Oh, Safa, Costco is different to supermarkets, but yeah, the only thing I couldn't get there was toilet paper. But like, for instance, 2 weeks previous, I couldn't get meat there, particularly the minced beef, but like all their meat almost had sold out. And there were a few other things, like including paper. I did get paper towel. I got a giant last time I bought a thing of paper towel from Costco, I forget how many packs it is, but it lasted 2 years. So I've got 2 years worth of paper towel now. I've still got half a Costco thing of toilet paper, which means, a month or so of toilet paper. But yeah, they have toilet paper they even had big packets of toilet paper in the supermarket, so it was not done. The other funny thing about Costco, previous time I went to Costco because Young Was Angry is baking a lot of bread, so that's like a 5 kilo thing of flour I got her. Last time I went, the only flour they had was this 12.5 kilo bag, so I had a choice of get no flour or get 12.5 kilos of flour. So I got 12.5 kilos of flour. Yeah. And Edward, just before you got on, discussed how I wasn't having any cocktails because my head feels slightly. I'm vastly improved from what I was earlier today, but my head feels a bit funny. So maybe I'm going to go off tomorrow night with cocktail. Probably make a cocktail in the second half. Hey, Justin. Hello. Good evening. Oh, Shoka, are you a bidet fan using water? Yes, I don't think I've ever used a bidet. And there's not just bidets, of course. I know my ex was from the Philippines, and her parents, they had like, I think it was like a watering can next to the toilet because toilet paper was a rarity and a luxury in the Philippines, I think. So they washed their bums. And that's through lots of Asia, East Asia and South Asia, the subcontinent. A lot of people are more used to washing their bums than using toilet paper. So, but it's a cultural thing. It's what you're used to, I think. Oh no, Justin, in Friends losing a job. It sucks. So many people are under so much pressure job-wise. It just fucking sucks. How often do I go to the supermarket? Maybe twice a week. I've been once this week. And I get itchy, you know. It's like, I'm going to run out of Pepsi, man. I'm gonna run out. But buying big things but now make me feel bad. So I'd rather go multiple times, but then I feel bad going out multiple times. It is a weird thing. It's one of my favorite podcasts I always mention is the Irish comedian from the Rubber Bandits, Blind Boy Boat Club, the Blind Boy podcast. And he phrased it very interestingly. He's like, he's trying to make positives. There's no question that the social isolation is very limiting. And in fact, in his case, as a performer, it cost him a fortune. So he said, but you still need to make a positive of it because this is, you know, a real and dangerous disease. And he turns the isolation into a positive. If he stays home all day, rather than being depressed and saying, oh, I was stuck inside all day, he turns it into a positive and says, I know for a fact I haven't contracted coronavirus today and I haven't given it to anyone today. That's a positive thing, and that's a positive thing I can hold on to. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think we're, Justin, you're saying only one new case reported in 6 days in Canberra. We seem like I'm really interested in how the restrictions are going to be limited. Like, I think the first thing will be like, okay, restaurants and cafes can reopen maybe with some social distancing rules, like limiting the number of people who are allowed into the venue, and you know, maybe normal retail can open. Bars and pubs won't open straight away. I'll put money on that now. They need to do it in phases and see. And again, you have to wait 3 or 4 weeks after you do a change. You have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to have any meaningful data about what the impact of that has been. So if we say, okay, most people can go back to work, like retail people can go back to work, cafes and restaurants can go back to work, and maybe with some social distancing rules. And then, yeah, there is the question about, see, I think big events, no. I think they have to still have a restriction on big events like the Spring Carnival. The horse racing people will be losing their fucking minds at the concept of the Spring Carnival being, but that's a long way off. Maybe the Spring Carnival will happen. But I think the first thing will be, okay, we'll let cafes, restaurants and retail open, maybe with limits on the number of people that are allowed inside. And then you got to give that 3-4 weeks to get any meaningful data about what impact that has. And if we don't have an unmanageable uptick in cases, it's like, cool, maybe we've actually contained it. And then they can look at like, well, okay, maybe we can have bars and pubs open. And again, the first phase, I think, would be with limited numbers. Again, was the one like, you know, 1 person per 4 square meters. So therefore, if a venue is 100 square meters in size, 20 people are allowed in there. Probably something like that. And then you let that run for 3 or 4 weeks, see if there's a noticeable uptick in cases. And if you can get to that level of expansion with no sharp uptick in cases, then maybe they go, well, fuck it. Maybe we've got it under control. Maybe we can actually release that control. Maybe now restaurants and bars and pubs can have no restrictions. It's, open slather. And then you see how that goes. And then you allow major events, major sporting events, concerts, etc. You let things like that go ahead. But the very last thing, and I don't think this will change until there's an effective vaccine. The very last thing will be international travel. I don't think we'll be allowing international travelers in, or really allowing Australians to travel overseas until there's an effective vaccine. That's my prediction. In other words, closed borders in all probability for another 12 months, if not longer. Actually, I think, okay, if there's no effect, at some point, if there's no effective vaccine in 12 months, people are just going to go, yeah, fuck it, whatever. And okay, whereas I think Australia is going to continue to handle it quite well. Other parts of the world, not so much. And I think that will dictate a lot of what we do. Like, particularly, I think America is probably in a very bad way. I think the numbers that will be coming out of America by the end of the month, so in the next 2 weeks, are going to be very bad. They're bad now, but I think they'll be very bad in 2 weeks. And I think May will be worse. I think May will actually be worse. Very, very fucking bad. And that's going to, seeing places that haven't had the level of containment we've had, if things go very badly for them, that's going to really dictate somewhat what the government does. They go, okay, we can't let the brakes off too fast because look what fucking happened there. I am very, very, very worried for my friends in the US. I suspect it's going to get spectacularly bad by the end of May. I think you're going to see some really awful numbers just by the end of April, and I think May is going to be worse. Not good. That's an interesting thought, Megaleech, where if it lasted till our next election, politicians would be tempted to make it a political platform, reopen or don't reopen. Shogo, I haven't heard anyone's been able to measure the degree to which carbon emissions have dropped. They should have dropped a lot because there's a lot less traffic, and traffic is one of the major contributors to it. But other industry that is the major cause of carbon emissions is still going. But it seems obvious there would be some improvement. But yeah. But it's the specifics. I mean, we can plot in general terms what's going to happen, but the specifics are very, very unknowable. But yeah. Megaleech, right. The way it's being politicized in the US, what are they up to? So with over 2 million global cases now, almost a third of the confirmed cases are in the US. So with 666 in the total deaths. You don't like seeing that, the devil number. Coming up on 140,000 deaths. So the global death rate compared to confirmed case rate is actually high, which is disturbing. It's over 5%. That's too complicated to do in my head. Let me do a quick percentage. No, wait, that's not what I want. But my calculator, what was I doing before? So it's 137,666. And the total is 2,722,228. Oh, what the fuck? I pushed the button wrong somewhere. Okay, try again. 137,666 divided by 207,228. Yeah, okay, it's 6.5%. That's a fatality rate of 6.5%. That's really bad. That's really bad. It's really bad because we are in the first fucking couple of months of a 12 to 18 month pandemic, and it's not going to level out. It's going to get worse. And oof. And yeah, so the US with 640,000 cases, it's got 31,000 deaths. Again, that's like 5% fatality rate. That's not good. That is not good. And here in sunny Australia with 6,500 cases, we got 63 deaths. So yeah, we got 1% fatality rate, which, you know, is what you want to see. That's what we'd always been hoping the fatality rate would stay at, because everyone's going to fucking get it. That's the thing, until there's a vaccine, and you have to be realistic and say that's probably going to take 12 to 18 months. So mid next year, everyone's going to get, like, anywhere from half to 3/4 of the population are going to contract the virus, which is a really disturbing number. It's great if we continue to manage the rate of infection, which means the hospitals are never overloaded. We don't get the horror scenes you've seen, like in New York and in Italy, and as I'm really worried, the UK and quite a few other parts of Europe and the US are going to experience. Whereas fine old New Zealand with their absolute lockdown, 1,400 cases in New Zealand and 9 deaths. So they're well under 1% fatality rate. And they're really crunch lockdown seems. So that's the thing. Them being an island with those borders, if they do this complete crunch lockdown, and absolutely, it might work. As a few health people have said, it's actually a high risk strategy, but it might work. And the current evidence is leaning towards a favorable outcome. So they close their borders, they really crunch down on infections, and they get it down to zero. It's like, okay, keep the borders closed, but internally we can completely go back to normal after like a couple of months of a real crunch lockdown. If it works as a best case scenario, which is more than possible, then they can completely go back to normal, but with closed borders. Whereas with us, because we haven't had that complete crunch, we'd have to have a gradual release. Like, was in Singapore, they were talking about the pulse release. It's like, okay, you crunch down, get it under control, then you let things go, and then the numbers surge and you crunch down again. So it's just, and they're having one of the surges at the moment. So it's still questionable how well Singapore's strategy is going to work. Oh, Catherine, we are an island and we are going to keep our borders closed, but it hasn't been regarded as politically palatable to crunch down as hard as New Zealand. And the important thing to note is we don't know for sure the New Zealand strategy is going to work. It seems to be, so far, getting good results, but it's still way too early to be sure. Our strategy so far seems to be working well. Oh, Philip, you're saying the rate per million is the same as that's okay. That's the Google map does rate per million. Let me check those numbers, because that is a good number. Okay, cases per million. Saying Australia is 252 cases per million. Wo ist New Zealand in here? Dominican Republic. They're just higgledy-piggledy, these countries. Oh, is it cases or deaths? Confirmed cases. I forgot. How many cases did I say New Zealand had? Trying to find Bahrain, Estonia, Uzbekistan. New Zealand, 217 per million of population. So that is broadly true. New Zealand has 217 infections per million population. Australia has 252 infections per million of population. Those are fairly close. And we have far less strict lockdown here in Australia. Yes, Runnits. I am also worried about the extreme right with their guns in the US and what they're going to do. Yes. So, yeah, currently there is Australia's doing comparably well with New Zealand, and with a less strict lockdown. But I think the thing is with New Zealand, if their extreme crunch works, and as I said, it is actually still too early to be sure if it's going to work. I think the theory is if they get it completely under control and like no new cases, then they can completely release the brakes and go, there you go, life's back to normal, except our borders are closed, which obviously has both economic and social impacts. There's not as much as shutting down internally. And whereas in Australia, because we didn't have we've got quite a limit on what's happening, but it's not quite so extreme. So when the handbrake comes off, it's going to be a bit at a time. It's not going to be everything goes, particularly we're going into winter. And traditionally, winter is the worst time for flu season, because your good old normal flu wipes out a whole bunch of people every winter. And this is what I tried to get through people's thick skulls who say like, oh, but flu kills so many people. Yes, but we know that's a regular thing. There is fluctuations in the deaths from flu and the deaths from cancer and the deaths from road incidents. But that is something that happens all the time. And those other things are going to continue to happen. It's just that COVID-19 infections and deaths are on top of that, that we're not really geared up to handle an additional health crisis on top of all the other health issues that we normally face. That's the difference. So that's the other thing. There is a hope that the warmer weather in the Northern Hemisphere will improve things, but we don't know. There is so much about this virus we don't know. We don't know how much warmer weather is going to help. We don't know how much colder weather here in the Southern Hemisphere is going to make it worse. And there's just so much we don't know. Okay, you want to say about process stuff developments? Worst thing you can do, end users, have them fire with tools. Yeah, we're going back to my job. Yay. Hate having to try trick software into doing what you want it to do. Yeah. Because people will always do workarounds. All right, you know what? We're talking about me making a cocktail. I haven't really finished my juice yet, but I'm going to show you something. Oh, I got this because I see it in some cocktail recipes, and I thought something different. This is a passion fruit liqueur, a French passion fruit liqueur. like most liqueurs, relatively young, and they were Patio Star Martini. This and vodka and lemon juice. That is, why would you call that a martini? Because it's got vodka, I suppose. See, okay. Remember we talking about there's only 4 cocktails? That's not so much variation on a martini as it is a variation on a sidecar. A spirit, a liqueur, and a citrus, that's like a sidecar or a margarita. It's weird. I think they're just trying to make it sound like a porn star martini. Let's say just have it with soda water and tonic. I think I'll make it. I haven't even tasted this. I bought it, I don't know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I haven't even tasted it yet. So I'll taste it. Sorry, I just saw that freaking go. I love the bright. Your old Blockbuster Video employee polo shirt is worth money. Oh my god. Michaelich drinking water with the Tetley cold infusion with stevia sweetener dash of bitters. Oh, see, you're a bitters man now. I actually use those Tetley cold infusions with like vodka and gin, and you get some really neat flavors. I think I've got some over here. That put in like vodka and gin to flavor them. Still, they're a bit crook. Look after yourself. I hope none of the filthy FIFOs have given you anything. But yes, look after yourself. It all happens. Like I said, it's kind of funny when I put out a thing saying I wasn't going to do a live stream last night. I felt it was like important to say it's not the Rona, okay? It's completely unrelated. It's this inner ear thing that's getting. So if I look up, how do we spell this? Pathoa cocktail. See what else comes up. See if an interesting cocktail idea comes up. Passion fruit martini. Okay, the actual Pathoa website. That might be a good source. Enter date of birth, 11/11/1980. Not my birthday. Porn star martini, #1 cocktail which overtook the mojito. Passoa beer, Passoa sangria, Passoa fresh, Passoa ginger, Passoa rosa, Passoa splash. So Passoa, I think that is like their version of a, yes, porn star martini. They say with vanilla. You actually have some vanilla syrup, some vanilla essence anyway. Who else has the spirit platform? Scienceofdrink.com. Make me a cocktail. As a website, I downloaded something from at one point. A website called Make Me a Cocktail. I'm on their email list, and the guy posted something recently. I was like, oh, I woke up the other day and all these emails saying your website's down. And that, oh my God, what's happened? And it looked like a denial of service attack on the website, too many requests for info, and the site crashed. And it turned out someone who was popular on TikTok posted a video saying, I found the best isolation website. It's called Make Me a Cocktail. There's a thing you can put in, you just list all the ingredients you have, like the booze, the mixers, things in your pantry. You check everything that you have, and then you click the button that says Make Me a Cocktail, and it tells you the cocktails you can make with your ingredients. Gecko's going for another ride. Take care, man. So what have we got? Ooh, an 8-ingredient project. Bruce's Boners. A lambada. See, I'm tempted to this one that's got a lot of ingredients. Like, ooh, it's complicated. What's a Bruce's Boners? Bonas. Ooh, it's got a whiskey drink and a vodka drink and a schnapps drink. What the ever-loving fuck? You can't have 8 shots. How many drinks is that meant to make? You do one part. So whiskey, vodka, peach schnapps, triple sec, gin, tequila, grenadine, and passoa. Even half a shot would be too much. That's 8 shots, 8 standard drinks, and oh no, they're not all standard, but it's still fucking 6 standard drinks. If you do half a shot of each, you're bringing it down to 3 standard drinks, I guess. Peach schnapps, something fruity. I could put something besides peach in. I've got different fruit flavored things. Good Lord. Ashoka, America's a superpower coming to an end. Probably. It's very hard to know what's going to happen in America. No, this one's got 7 ingredients. The lambada. It's a lambada. Malibu rum. So coconut rum, lime juice, orange juice, grenadine, passoa, and grapefruit juice. I don't have grapefruit juice or orange juice. I have fond of grapefruit juice. I could do white rum and coconut and lime, grenadine, passoa. It's a very tropical one. I could go pineapple rather than grapefruit and orange. I've got I've got a blood orange shrub, which is like a cordial based around drinking vinegar, apple cider vinegar. Should I go for this Bruce's bonus it's just ridiculous. It's just shots of a whole bunch of different things. No, I think that one's actually quite stupid. Maybe I'll try a variation on this one, the lambada. What else do they have? A Madeline. Tropical drink, apple passion, tropical breeze. A Madeline is pineapple juice, gin, passoa, and coconut liqueur. So I can do that. That's like a very simple tropical one. Could do that. What's a tropical breeze? Cointreau, lime, cranberry, passoa, and orange. No, I'm going to do that. Might do that. What's a scurvy? I bet it's got orange juice in it. Or would it be lime juice? No, it's got orange juice. And lemon juice. And rum. Overproof rum, in fact. No, don't feel like that. What else is here? A hot summer kiss. A Mbongo. Bahan Bomber. Easy like Sunday morning. Who remembers that song? Who did that originally? I just remember Faith No More did a version's good. This one, vodka, peach schnapps, orange juice, tequila, passoa, apple juice. That's a lot of juice. I don't really like cocktails. There's probably, I originally got into cocktails, very fruity ones where you don't even taste the alcohol. Yes, I think as Shogo, I see what you're saying is I think it is distinctly possible the Chinese century coming up on us. But everything's so volatile and unpredictable now. I wouldn't rush to do this. So that one's simple. It's like gin, passoa, coconut, and some pineapple juice. What's this one? It's rum and lime and orange juice and grenadine. I think I'll make that one, a version of this one, a lambada. The Forbidden Dance. The Forbidden Dance. Shell former. God, do you know all the answers, man? Lionel Richie had the earlier version of Easy Like Sunday Morning. There you go. Finish my juice. All right, I need a shaker for this one, I think. A lambada. Yes, I'm putting those juices in it. I want a shaker. So I got to get some lime juice and grenadine. This is grapefruit juice and orange juice. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the pineapple coconut juice I have in the fridge. Right. Where's my grenadine? Grenadine. Actually, I should put that there. Grenadine and okay. Actually, I have some fresh squeezed lime juice, but I've had that stuff longer. I should use it. I want my shaker. Where's my shaker? It's in here. I think this suits the tiki mug. I'm gonna put a big block of ice in the tiki mug. Big ice block. Frozen berries in there we've been using for cooking. Okay, big block of ice. Desserts there. Shit! God, clown. Okay. Right, did that because I want to put this in here. I broke that one. I'll probably have to eat it because I broke it. Right. So. I want rum and coconut, lime juice, grenadine. So yeah, okay. Rum and coconut. I know I had a bloody coconut thing somewhere. I haven't used it for a while. Now I've forgotten where it is. It's really distinctive. It's a white bottle. Ugh. Why is life so difficult? Should be just here somewhere. There it is. It's not white, it's blue. Ugh. Right. So this stuff, and I'll just use Bacardi. Okay. And a little measure here. And I want some ice in my shaker. Ice in my shaker. A bit of ice. And I want my strainer. Okay. We're organized. Organized. Okay. So this says shot of the run. From old Cuba. That in there. And we want coconut. Coconut. Like really tacky, cheap coconut liqueur. That's good. And Pathor. That crackle. This is it. I'll try it. It smells nice. Oh my God, it's really sweet. Look at the color of it. Look at the color of it. Looks and tastes like lolly water. All right. So I think I've got a little bit of lime juice left in there. Some of the fresh lime juice I squeezed. Oh, that is almost half a shot, in fact. So let's do half a shot of lime juice, and that is almost half a shot. Just top it up a little bit. A little bit more. There we go. That's good. So some lime juice. Some grenadine. A special homemade grenadine. Living in its Crystal Head vodka decanter. Just half an ounce. All right. This needs a lot of sweetening with what's already in it, but a little bit of grenadine. And I'm going to put a little bit of this pineapple coconut juice in as well. Obviously not fresh. Purists would frown upon me using stuff that's not fresh. I don't care. They're not the boss of me. Goddamn purists. Okay. I'm going to shake this little puppy. Is the stimulus payment another example of the government fucking... Okay, that's got that nice and cold, as in it's painful to hold on to. Because it's got pineapple juice in it. It's gone really foamy. Pineapple juice goes really foamy when you shake it. Get the glass out of the freezer. Just notice Ashoka making the big statements. Australia will be a Chinese satellite. Probably depends what you mean by that. Oh, it's a suitably manly pink drink I've got here. Look at that. It's like a peach color, almost peachy orange. Whew, that's going to see me through the next half hour. So if you want to work for the Australian Signals Director, that'd be interesting. Yes, Megaleech, that is a fruit drink rather than a fruit juice. It's a flavored fruit drink. So yes, again, purists would really hate me. It's just like a really tropical sugary drink. Doesn't taste like alcohol at all. So how much alcohol is actually in it? Not that much. Yeah, with the alcohol content of these things I put in, that's like 2 standard drinks. So it's not that much. Like a pint of beer is more. This is like history. This is very fruity and sweet. Very coconutty. Certainly, inoffensive. I guess I've developed a slightly more snobby taste in cocktails. It's probably fair to say much more snobby, actually. A bit derisive of this type of drink now. I used to go to pubs and drink drinks like this. Don't really have a very high opinion of now. Like, it's not bad. It's really light. Like on summer, this is a sit by the pool in summer drink. This is it's just really light and fruity. And stuff saying, yeah, I get a sugar high from it. It's got far too much sugar in it. And as long as you didn't drink too many of them, you wouldn't get that drunk. It's not that high in alcohol content. Get a bit buzzed from it, but unless you scull it, you're not going to get shit-faced. That's really only about, if you're talking about spirits, it's like 2 shots. So yeah, like I said, a bloody pint of beer is going to have more alcohol than this has. It's a question of how fast you drink it, I guess. Because I really rarely have drinks like this these days. It's also why I don't drink so many tiki drinks, just the tropical drinks. I feel like they're cheating. They're putting in a whole bunch of fruit juice, so you don't really taste the alcohol. The simpler tropical drinks, and they're usually rum based, I will go for. In fact, I saw one on YouTube that I want to have a go at. It's like basically a fruity rum sour, and see what that's like. But and because I've got a few different sorts of rum, I've got the white rum, and I've got a Captain Morgan spiced rum, and I've got the overproof rum, when you want a real kick in the head, and I've got Velvet Falernum, which is like a rum liqueur. It's like a derivative of rum rather than being rum. You think I won't be able to sleep from a sugar high, Safa? I don't usually have trouble sleeping, even from caffeine, as long as I don't drink something caffeinated straight before bed. I try to. I know, God, you get some people saying you shouldn't drink a caffeinated drink after lunch. Okay, I just like drinking Pepsi though, but I usually make a point of not drinking any after 8 p.m. and I usually don't go to bed before 10, so I haven't drunk any for 2 hours before going to bed. And I sleep quite well. Who knows? Maybe I'd sleep even better if I stopped drinking caffeine. I'm sure there'll be people too. How many do you mean how many liters of drink? Well, it was 1, 2, 3. I know it's about 200 mils. Everything I put in is about 200 mils, something like that. So it's not a lot. Like, it's less than a can, can of soft drink. It's like half a can of soft drink. If that's what you're asking, what's the volume of this drink I'm having? It's about half a can of soft drink. And this one that I had earlier, the fruit juice I had earlier, this holds like 500 mils. Like a very healthy pint glass, this one. There's a question. I always just assume that pint and 500 mils were about the same, and I think that's wrong. Got a little converter here. Pints. 1 pint is how many mils? Oh, no, it is. A pint is about half a litre. Here you go. Roughly. It's less than half a litre. So, yeah. So this is about half a litre, and this is probably about 200 mils or less. How many mils is a standard cocktail? There's not really any such thing as the mils in a standard cocktail. I guess it's if there's no what do we call it, a highball. That's when you top it with soda or lemonade or something. It's a highball. So if it's something that's usually just like spirits and liqueurs, it's normally 4, 2, 3, 4. It's normally 100 mils. I think a lot of cocktails are probably about 100 mils, but there's a huge variance. Absolutely huge variance. So a standard cocktail, depending what's in it, is going to be 100 to 200 mils. I'm just throwing it out there. Nobody having technical troubles. Well, I hope you look after yourself, my friend. Hope to see you again soon. And I will bid thee farewell for this evening. That's the thing. So if you get a highball, so it's like a tall drink that's topped with soda or lemonade or tonic, that's often more like 300 mils, maybe even 350 mils, but about 300 mils I'd say is probably fine. So a standard cocktail will be anywhere from 100 to 200 mils depending what it is. And if you're doing a highball, which is where you're topping it with soda or tonic, lemonade, that's like up to 300 mils. Also depends if you count the ice, because if you're doing a highball, there's normally like a fuck ton of ice in it. So it depends how quick you drink it. How much ice melts is how much volume you got to drink. It's a wonderful, mysterious, magical world when you get into making cocktails. So for a beer can, I think it's like 375 mils. A standard can of either beer or, soda, soft drink, Coke, Pepsi, lemonade, whatever, it's 375 mils. So this would basically hold, if I filled this up, this would hold a can. This is more. This is like 500 mils. So if there's a lot of ice in here, you'd fill this up with a can. But it holds 500 mils altogether. So this with the big block of ice, I think a can would fill this up. So yes, it's all the volumes. And, it's beers, depending where you are in the world. Melbourne has the little one, the pots. And, Sydney and other places have middies. I think a middy is bigger than a pot. And a schooner is much bigger than a pot, but smaller than a pint. I think some places in Melbourne serve schooners as well. I'm not a beer drinker, so I'm not 100% sure on that. And I think it varies from venue to venue, but I think some Melbourne venues do schooners of beer now. The pot was like a standard one, which I think is more than a middy. Hey, let's look it up. We're on the internet. We can look it up. I know from experience, Wikipedia has a thing on it. Beer measures in Australia. Yes, Wikipedia can help us out. Let's have a look there. Let's have a table here. Okay. So a middy is 285 mils or 10 fluid ounces. So that's less than a can. A schooner is 50% more, 15 mils or 15 ounces or 425 mils, which is more than a can. And a pint is 570 mils or 20 fluid ounces, which is about what this holds. This holds a bit more than 500 mils or 500 mils with ice in it. So this is a pint. And so in Melbourne, a pot, are they saying a pot's the same as a middy? I don't reckon it is. I honestly don't reckon it is. Dare I challenge Wikipedia? That's the question. They're saying a pot's the same as a middy. I don't reckon it is. And not everywhere in Melbourne sells schooners, but some places do. In Sydney, it's all middies and schooners. Or some places will do sevens. That's a small one. That's 7 ounces. So a middy is 10 ounces, 285 mils, and a 7 is 7 ounces, 200 mils. And as people who would occasionally order a 7 in Sydney when I lived there, in New South Wales when I lived there. But yes. Melbourne morning is getting cold. Yes. But we're also still having warm days. I mean, if I look at this Vic, we had a couple of quite warm days that were mid-20s, but now we're getting cooler ones. It's like 10 or 11 Celsius overnight, which is not bad. It's cooler, but it's not bad. We move into winter, we get much closer to 0 overnight. But next couple of days, like 18, 16, 18, 20, 19. So it's getting cooler, and we're getting a bit of rain as well. The fun thing was, I saw Sydney had both rain and some late summery weather, which apparently has meant an influx of funnel webs into suburban gardens, which is fucking fun. At least that's one thing we don't deal with in Melbourne, fucking funnel webs. Yeah, they've all, because it's breeding season, apparently, for the funnel webs. Scariest fucking spiders ever. Okay, on one look, tarantulas look scarier, because tarantulas are bigger than funnel webs and hairier than funnel webs, and some tarantulas are fucking way bigger than funnel webs. But funnel webs are just super fucking aggressive. They are such aggressive spiders. And I'm kind of okay with spiders being creepy, but when they're aggressive, that's bad. Adele, good night. Okay, I'll stop talking about spiders, but good night to you anyway. I'll be heading off soonish. My apologies for ending your night on spider talk. I'm going to stop talking about them now. Talk about something brighter. It's so sort of hard pressed to find news stories that aren't about coronavirus at the moment. Okay, here's something that hasn't come up in the conversation this evening. The government's proposal to have a tracking app on phones that they reckon will help them keep better track of coronavirus cases, and they reckon would help ease social distancing guidelines if they could track people's movements so they know when someone's confirmed positive, where they've been, who they've been in contact with. People saying, Andrew, do you think that's a good idea? No, fuck no. Capital F, capital U, capital C, capital K, capital N, capital O. Fuck no. There are two main reasons for saying a big and loud fuck no to government tracking you via a phone app. One is the government is shit and incompetent and cannot be trusted on the security front. So the tracking data they get would be very enticing to malicious hacking type persons, and you are likely to be incredibly vulnerable to having your data hacked because the government is shit and useless. Second, the government is untrustworthy and, dare I say it, fucking malicious. I've seen some media types going, oh no, give them a chance. It's not a bad idea. Fuck no. I just keep coming back to my answer to this is fuck no. This specific government is untrustworthy and malicious. It's like the idea of them being able to track your movement. Do you really want the fascist potato, Peter fucking Dutton, having the ability to track and monitor you? No, it is a very fucking bad idea. And the way the cops have been going over the top with their enforcement powers under the stay-at-home social distancing rules for coronavirus, which again, ostensibly, yes, the cops need to be able to take some actions because people generally are assholes and idiots. But we have abundant examples of it being very clear that the fucking cops really enjoy additional power, and they really enjoy flexing, and they are an ungodly combination of incompetent and malicious, and they are not to be trusted. So I cannot say this loudly enough or often enough with regards to volunteering to being tracked by the government. My answer is fuck no. No, no, 1,000 times no. It is a fucking terrible idea. It is an abominable idea. Even if you are fucking stupid enough to trust this government to not misuse tracking, and if anyone who says they trust this government is either lying or a colossal fucking moron, because this government has an established track record of being incredibly punitive in an incredibly unnecessary way. So if you actually voluntarily let them track you, you are opening yourself to a fucking world of pain. But even if they weren't that bad, governments don't give up powers like this. Cops don't give up powers they get given. If you're stupid enough, disingenuous enough to say you trust this government, surely you can conceive of another government down the line that you don't trust. That one that you don't trust, they'll have this same ability and this same power. It's fucking terrible. Don't do it. It's a terrible idea. It's the fucking worst. So, yes, that's Angry's 2 cents to round things out. Should you let the government track you? No, you fucking shouldn't. Because here's the addition. If the government wants to track you now, they can, anytime they want to. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, you have the amount of privacy the government chooses to allow you. It's that simple. If they decide they want to track your movements, they will do so, and there is fuck all you can do about it. But Jesus, don't voluntarily surrender to them. Just don't. It's a terrible idea. There is nothing to recommend it, and 1,000 things to say fuck no. Just don't fucking do it. Yeah, no, they are that awful combination of incompetent and malicious, and you don't want it. You do not want it. It is so bad. Mega Alicia, surprised they aren't using cell towers to catch people. If they wanted to, they could. What we know for a fact is in the US, the spy agencies have installed fake mobile phone towers that track people's movement. And that allows warrantless tracking of, mobile phones. I suppose most people keep their mobile phones with them. So they absolutely can, but again, they would be tipping their hands if they just casually said, without a warrant, we looked at your mobile phone and we know where you went. It would tip their hand that they're doing that all the time. So they probably won't do it. They could. They absolutely, categorically could track people through their mobile phones now. They probably won't prosecute people based on that because the law as it stands says they need a warrant to do that sort of thing, and they don't want to tip their hand that they can, at the drop of a hat, just track you. So, yeah. So if you turn off your mobile signal, does that stop tracking? As in float mode, don't have your phone with you. There's evidence that your phone can be tracked when it is switched off. So if you're, as a couple of people who have been busted for murdering someone, and it's hard, again, okay, it's hard to object to the fact when it's used to catch a murderer, but you know, the amount of really fucking stupid people who have been caught for murdering someone when their internet search history had things like how to get rid of a body, and then their mobile phone tracked them going to where this body was found. And you have to go, thanks for the cocktail website. Don't let the potato man bite. No, I'm going to go to bed too. I finished my drink. I'm going to go to bed. But probably going to have it's Friday night tomorrow. Have a big Friday night, I think. Have a live stream, make some cocktails, make a video while I'm making cocktails, while I'm broadcasting. So I'm shaping up for tomorrow to be part of it. Saturday night's a date night, so I almost definitely won't be doing a live stream on Saturday night. Oh, Mega Leech, it's called makemeacocktail.com. It's very cool because they have a feature, besides having good cocktail recipes, they have a feature where you can just put in everything you have. You put in the alcohol you have, fruit juices you have, mixes you have, ingredients in your pantry you have, and you build up this big list, and then you click make me a cocktail, and it tells you all the cocktails you can make with the stuff you have. It's very cool. It's very cool. Yes, that's why criminals use burner mobiles, but that's also why the government tried to make burner mobiles illegal. Like, you have to provide an ID when you buy a throwaway mobile phone. But all criminals do is pay junkies or unemployed people to go and buy the burner phone for them. Criminals are always going to be criminals, basically. But yes, the number of people who have been caught for murdering someone and their search history had things like how to get rid of a body, and their mobile phone tracked them to where the body was found. It's like, Jesus, don't take your fucking mobile phone when you God, I'm going to sound like a fucking criminal if I say this, but it's like, you know, if you were going to go off and commit a crime somewhere, don't take your mobile phone with it. In fact, leave it at home auto-playing YouTube videos, because then you've got this plausible deniability. No, I was home all night watching videos on YouTube, and your mobile phone data will back you up. And yes, you know, search up how to dissolve a body in a 44-gallon drum at the library, not at fucking home, for God's sake. That's my tip tonight. That's a top tip for criminal from Angry Aussie. But criminals are dumb. We always get this thing in movies that criminals are devious masterminds, and they're not. They're dumb by and large. They're just brutal. They're just willing to do things that normal members of society won't do. That's how they get where they go. Not by being criminal masterminds, by being brutal. Now, I shouldn't insult brutal criminals, should I? Yeah. But you've got to forgive me for saying you're brutal and dumb, because I gave you tips on how to avoid the cops. Okay? Fair is fair. Fair is fair. That's a fair trade. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed. Bid you fine people farewell for another evening. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching this back, I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you had me on in the background while you were doing chores around the house stuff. I know people do use these long ones as like a sort of oral wallpaper, which is very cool. And I hope it worked for you. And I hope to see you again, hear from you again. I hope you listen to me again. But for this very moment, I am going to say bye for now. Look after yourself, one and all, and